What's going on, guys? In this video, I want to talk to you about letters of recommendation. Now, I know this is a daunting task, so let's get to it. The first thing is, who are you going to ask? Generally speaking, you need to have 4 to 5 letters of recommendation, and at least 2 of these should be from science professors. That's like essentially a hard rule. The rest is a little bit more flexible. You should also have one from a non-science professor. You can get one from your research PI, one from a physician that you shadowed, and one from a community or volunteer activity that you were a significant part of. Now again, these are not all required. This is what I would recommend. These 2 being the ones that you definitely need, and the rest are a little bit more flexible. Get letters from people that know you. That's the most important thing. Number 2, you need to build a relationship with these letter writers. For some, this is going to be easy. With your research PI, they will probably know you pretty well. A physician who you shadowed, they'll also know you pretty well. But when it comes to professors, it's a little bit more difficult. I recommend going to office hours. Ideally, you want to have one-on-one FaceTime, but this isn't always feasible. Some suggest going into small upper level courses, but I don't think this always holds true. Even in larger courses, there can be a few people in office hours, and in smaller courses, there can be a lot of people in office hours. What I have found is that it mostly depends on how well the professor is liked by the students. A professor who is more popular is more likely to have a busy office hours. But that being said, don't judge a book by its cover. One of my best letters actually came from a professor who had a particularly nasty reputation. She had a difficult course and people were not a fan of her teaching, but in office hours she was very pleasant, very nice, and wrote me one of my strongest letters that on the interview trail multiple faculty commented on. What I have seen a lot of people do in office hours is suck up to the professor. Do not do this. They can see right through it. It looks very bad. It will not help you in the long run. Also, don't be asking questions that you already know the answer to. If you know the material well, even if you're at the top of your class, you should still be able to have intelligent discussions about the subject beyond the scope of the course, or try tying it in with other courses that you're currently enrolled in or have been enrolled in. This will not only help build that relationship with your letter writer, but you'll also learn to enjoy the material that much more. And lastly, commit to this class. If you're aiming for a letter of recommendation in this class, you need to make sure that you're trying extra hard. Not to sound like a gunner, but even if you normally get A's, strive to get A pluses or set the curve if you can. The next is when to ask. So your letter writers are extremely busy, and they will likely have multiple students asking them for letters. So make sure you give them plenty of time. I recommend anywhere from 8 to 12 weeks. I've seen others suggest 6 to 10. It's all really the same. Don't stress too much about that. However, if you are completing a course long before you submit your application, make sure you ask them soon after, because otherwise by the time you ask them when you're submitting or soon before, they'll likely have forgotten you. Also, as the due date approaches, be sure to send them a reminder email, generally about 2 weeks before. Don't be pushy and don't be annoying about it though. Alright, that's it for part 1 of this video. Check out part 2 for information on how to ask, materials to provide, and some other considerations.